Hello guys, welcome to the video. In this video, we are going to discuss a very interesting problem, subdomain visit count. So let's understand the problem, right? So in the input, we are given a vector. We are given a vector of string. Perfect. So let's see what our string looks like. The string looks like something like this. There is a number, then a space, then a domain. Okay, so that's our string. What we are required to find is that how many number of times we are going to visit each subdomain. Okay, we are going to visit each domain. Okay, and what here this number represent is the number of times you are visiting the whole domain. Okay, so this is our question. Now let's understand this question. I know like, it's a tricky one. You might not have gotten it for now, but we are gonna get to it. Okay, so let's understand. Let's say we are given a domain. Let's take our domain. Okay, very beautiful domain. Nados dot pepcoding .com. Perfect, beautiful. So now we have extracted the domain. So this is the domain. What else we are given is the number of times we have visited this domain. Okay, with a space. So here, let's say we visited our domain 1,000 times. Let's say, I mean, of course, many people love Nados. They visit it a lot, but for the question, let's take it 1,000 times. Perfect, and a space. And then, so this is a string that is given to us. This is one of our string. I mean, we are given a vector of string. We are given multiple string, but for now we are talking about one string at a time. Perfect. Now let's understand that what we are required to print. Let's see some sample output. Okay, so here, yeah, why it is blue? I don't know why it is blue. Yeah, fine. So here, as you can see, for this input, we got this output. Right. Now let's understand what our output exactly is. So in the output, we are required to print all its subdomains with the count we visited it overall. Okay, let's understand it. So for this domain, what are its subdomain? Let's see its subdomain, right? It is pepcoding.com. Of course, for Nados.pepcoding.com, its subdomain will be pepcoding.com as well. Okay, and one more subdomain, that is just.com. Okay, so now I want you to understand this, that it's simple general knowledge, right? I mean, think about it, that com, right? Just think about it, that if we got three things, Nados.pepcoding.com, then pepcoding.com, then com, then which is the greatest among them? Of course it's com. I mean, most of the websites got com in it, right? So that means, does that mean that if I'm visiting pepcoding.com, I am also visiting com? You might not. Okay. Let me give you a better example, right? Then we will get to this. Okay. A very interesting example. Let's say you are visiting facebook.com. Yeah, facebook.com. Let's say you are visiting facebook.com. Now you are exploring Facebook, and then you see there is a panel, right, of which is of games. So you click on it and your website changes, and now it is games.facebook.com. It is games.facebook.com. Okay. Now let's say you visited games.facebook.com 1,000 times. Okay. So if we talk about his games.facebook.com subdomain, it got two subdomain. What are it? It is facebook.com and what? And just.com. Yeah, let me erase it. Okay, no problem. So it got two subdomains, that is facebook.com and just.com. Perfect. So think about it again. So if I visited games.facebook.com, then of course I visited facebook.com as well. Why is that? Because Facebook is ultimately the parent. Facebook is ultimately the parent of games.facebook.com, right? So its count will also be 1000 as well as count. Count is the parent of all. So it will also be 1000, right? So if we visited this website, that means we also visited its subdomains, right? That is facebook.com and com. And its count will be the same as the website you visited, the number of times you visited the website. Okay, now let's get back to it. So again, now you are going to understand. So if we visited nados.pepcoding.com 1000 times, so that means that we also visited pepcoding.com 1000 times and com as well as 1000 times, right? So basically that's our question, right? That's our input and output. So we are given a string, something like this, right? And we are required to give such output, right? All its subdomains and number of times we are going to visit it. But that's not just it. There is the catch to it. What is the catch? That you are not given a single string. What we just discussed is for a single string, but we are given a vector of strings, so we must be given multiple strings. So let's see again. Let's see a case for another string. Let's say for www, for www dot pepcoding .com. Okay, so let's say we visited www.pepcoding.com how many times? Let's say we visited it 5000 times. Okay, so if we visited this website 5000 times, that means we also visited its subdomains. What are its subdomains? Let's think about it. Its subdomains. Of course, its subdomain is going to be pepcoding.com. Sorry, it is going to be pepcoding.com. Let me write it again. Pepcoding.com. What else? Its subdomain is going to be com, right? If the count of www.pepcoding.com is 5000, then the count of pepcoding.com will also be 5000, and the count of com is going to be 5000 as well. Okay, so we discussed a case. Which case? When we are given two string as input. Okay, so what we are required to return is the total count. How much is the total count that we visited a subdomain, right, of all the domains. So for these input, what will be it? Think about it. What will be? So for let's talk about all our domains, right? So for the first one, that is what? nados.pepcoding.com. Let me write it here again. That is nados dot pepcoding.com. Okay, so how many times he visited it? As you can see, we only visit one time, and that is 1000 times. Perfect. Now let's talk about another domain, that is this domain. Okay, www.pepcoding.com. Perfect. So what's the count that we visited it? It's 5000. Now comes the interesting part. Okay, let's see. So now comes the interesting part. Now we talk about its subdomain. What is its subdomain? It is pepcoding.com. Right. So now what we see that we visited pepcoding.com two times. Are you getting me? We were given two strings, and in both the two strings we had subdomain pepcoding.com. Here we visited 1000 times, and here we visited 5000 times. So what will be the total count? Yes, you must be thinking right. It is going to be 6000. Perfect. And then again for com, that is again mutual in both the strings, right? So what will be its sub count? Its sub count is going to be the plus the addition of both of them, right? Including both the overall sub count, that is 6000. So for this input, basically that will be our answer. That will be our final answer. Okay. So now I'm very much sure that you are getting what I'm trying to convey. The question is very clear to you. Okay. Now comes the part that how we will solve this question. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Let me bring this. Okay. Yeah. So the first step, what I want to focus is, let's discuss it step by step. Step by step. Okay. So what we are given, we are actually given a string, right? This is a string. My first step will be to extract what I need from it. So what I'm given is a count first, then a space, then again the domain. So my first step is going to be extract what? Extract count and domain. Perfect. That is going to be my first step. Okay. It's very simple. I'm going to break it into very little steps, right? We extracted the count and domain. Perfect. Now, what is the second step? The second step is to get my subdomain. To somehow get subdomains. Subdomains. Perfect. Now, what is the third step? So, if I've gotten a subdomain, I have to check if it already exists, right? If it already exists, if I've visited it already, if I have visited already, I just simply add my count to the count I visited earlier. So I'm just simply discussing the case. Like here, we visited pepcoding.com 1000 times, then again we visit 5000 times. That's what I'm saying basically. So third step is to somehow take care of the total count. Take care of the total count. And if you have done it, then what? Then the fourth step. I mean, it's not even a step, I'm just writing it here. It just simply make your answer and return. Okay. So these are the simple steps by which we can simply solve our problem. Okay. So now let's tackle each step at a time and let's solve it. Perfect. So our first step, extract count and domain. Perfect. Let's see how we will do it. Okay. So again, for it, I want to focus on that what is differentiating that it is a count and it's a string. So what is differentiating it is simply mentioned. What it is separated by a space. It is mentioned in our question itself. So if it is mentioned in our question, what we are going to use is the help of this space. So how we will do it? Let's see. Okay. So before that, we are given a vector of string. So I'm going to process each string at a time, right? Each string at a time. So auto string, that is going to give me a string, one string at a time. And this is my vector. Perfect. Now what I want is to extract both of them. So if I know that where the space is, if this is a space, then before the space, I can get the count, and after the space, I can get the domain. I hope you are able to understand what I'm trying to convey, right? So let me show you it again. So for this example, okay, let's say, yeah, for this example. So here it is space separated. So can I say if I know where the space is, so then before space is the count. This is the count. And after space, whichever the string elements are, they are your domain. Okay, so for that, first I need to get where the space is. So how will I find it? Int space is equal to str dot find space. So using this function, I'm going to know that where my space exists. Now that I know where my space exists, I have to calculate my count. That is the left part. That is before my space. So how will I calculate it? Think about, we got a simple function. You might have already used that function a lot in the past. That is similar. That is simple. That is str dot substring. Right? Str dot substring starting from 0 till what? Till space. Perfect. So what we are going to get is the count. Now, again, a very interesting point. We get a count. That is 500. We get 5,000 in this case. But 5,000 is a string value, right? So we are going to convert it into integer. Very simple. So let's convert it into integer. We are going to use stoi function and convert it into integer. Now that we know the count, we are going to get the domain. That is the part after my space. So again, str dot substring what? Space plus 1. Space plus 1. Also here it is subtract. All right, perfect. Okay. So we have done a necessary task. We got the domain as well as the number. Now what we are gonna do? What was our second step? Let's see our step. Our second step was to get the subdomain somehow. Okay. So unto what we got? See, we got the count. We are at here. What we have is the count. We need not to think about anything about count. And we have this domain. That is nardos.pepcoding.com. Okay. Okay, let me copy it from somewhere. And then I'm going to show you. Okay. Yeah. And we got this domain. All right. We got this domain. We got two things when we are at our second step. Now, I want you to analyze it. That how do I know that if it is my subdomain or not? How do I know? Think about it. It's very basic. It's very simple. You must have gotten it now. So here, whatever my subdomain is, they are separated by a dot. As you can see, it is the dot here. So nardos.pepcoding.com. So whatever is after dot, whatever is after my dot, right? This is my one subdomain. Are you getting me? This is my one subdomain. And here also we got, so that means whatever is after the dot is my subdomain, right? I had two subdomains for it, right? Pepcoding.com and com. And again, I want to show you, if I get a dot, then after the dot, again I get a dot, then after a dot. So that means I'm going to move from left to the right, and I'm going to check if I get a dot, that means after a dot. Again, the function substring is going to help us. Perfect. So for that, we are going to traverse first. Traverse our domain. Domain.length I++. Now we are going to check if our domain I is equal to what? What is equal to? Is equal to a dot. Then I'm going to do something. Now let's see what is it, what I'm going to do. So if we get a dot, then that means after a dot, we are going to get the whatever it is, that is our subdomain, right? So let's say a string sub d is equal to domain dot substring what? I+1. Okay, I hope you have understood what I'm trying to say here, that whatever is after my dot is my substring, is my subdomain. Perfect. So think about it, that With the help of this, we have gotten our subdomain. Also, let me show you. I mean, if you might be confused that how we are getting our subdomain here. So let's see it. Or I think no need to do it. We'll just simply use our open board. Yellow color. Perfect. Okay. So let's see what I'm trying to say here. Again, first let's see our example. That was those dot pepcoding dot com. Perfect. Now what we did here in this for loop is find the dot. So here we get a dot. Right, at this point we get a dot. Now what we do is get a string. So what will be our string? That in this is domain, right? This is our domain. So domain dot substring, this is I. We are traversing from I. So I plus 1. So that means starting from pepcoding till the end is going to be our substring. So we got our one substring, that is what? Wait, let me erase it and show it again. So we got one string, substring, that is pepcoding.com. Perfect. Now what happens? Let me erase it first. Yeah, let me write it again. Yeah. So we got our first substring, and let me write it again. And then I'm going to show you that how we will get our next subdomain. We got one domain, right? Okay. So we got one domain, then we are going to process it. Let's not think about the process as of now. We are going to do some process. That is pepcoding.com. We got it. Now we are going to move further, and again this condition hits that we got a dot. So after whatever the dot is, that is our subdomain, that is com. So that's how we are going to get our subdomain. Now that we have gotten our subdomain, I want to discuss something really important. Okay. So here, what we are required to do? We are required to calculate the total number of times we visited our subdomain. Total number of times. So how we will do it? For example, here we visited pepcoding.com 1000 times. Then again we visit pepcoding.com. So I think you must be thinking something that we can do that, right? Think about it again. Let's see one more example. So here we visit com 1000 times. Then we again visit com 5000 times. So what we are going to do? How we can achieve this? Right? That was our third step to take care of the count. We can achieve this with the help of, yes, you are right, unordered map. Right? So in our map, we are going to store the string and the count, that the number of times we visited it. Okay. So let's create an unordered map. Unordered map of what? Of string and integer map. Perfect. So now what I do here, that I check if the substring is present in our map, right? If it is present, then I simply increase the count of it, right, with the current count, right? And if it doesn't not exist, then it is going to give me a 0. Then I am to add my current count. I hope you are able to understand how it is working, but I am going to show you as well. Okay. So here what I'm saying here is that for this string, what I'm going to store. Okay, create some space, or let's unzoom it. Perfect. So let's say I get com. So I'm going to store the count of it, that is 1000. Right? Then if I get again pepcoding.com, and again I am to store its count. But let's say I get com again, because in another string, as in this case we get a com again. So let's say we get a com and its value is 5000 number of times. So now what we are going to do is update it, right? Update our this count to 6000. So that's what we are doing here. Okay. Perfect. Now what I want to tell you, that here we are getting all our subdomains, right? But we also got to add ourselves. We are also a domain, right? In the answer, as you can see, we are also there, right? So I'm going to simply add myself in the map. via domain, right? Map domain plus equal to count. Okay. So now if I did all this step, what would have happened? That my map is filled. My map is filled with all the domains and the subdomains, right? All the domain and the subdomain. Now what I have to do? All the tough task has been already done. Okay, we have discussed it. So now I'm going to simply, we have to return what? We have to return a vector of string. So first let's create a vector of string. I'm going to call it my answer. Perfect. Now what I'm going to do is, see what our output is. Our output is, let me show you. So if this is stored in our hash map, let's say, if this is stored, and what else? Not, and let me add that as well. Nardos dot pepcoding .com. Okay, let's say this is 6,000. Let's say. Okay, so now what our output is like, it is first we have to add the count, then a space, then what? Then the subdomain. So for here, it is going to be 6,000, then a space, then com, right? Then again 1,000 and a space and pepcoding.com. So that's what we are going to do. Let's see how we achieve it. So we know that we need to get elements from the map. So we traverse our map, right? Map. Now, what we do in our answer, we simply push what? We simply push back our string. So first we have to push the number of times we visited, and it's an integer value. As you know, it's an integer value. So we are going to convert it into a string. So push back to string what? To string k dot I think it's second or first. Yeah, k dot second plus empty space. What is this k dot second? K dot second is simply giving the second, right? I mean this element, right? This is first and this is second, whichever exists second in the map, right? That means the value. Okay, and a space and what? And k dot second, simply the string. Then you are going to simply return your answer, right? Simply going to return your answer. Now let's run our code, and if there is error, we want to fix it. Okay, it's taking some time. I don't know why is that. Okay, it gave us an error. Okay, very silly mistake. Here we initialize with the integer. It's a string, and here what was it? First k dot second, that is your number of times you visited it, and then k dot first, right? K dot first means the string value. Perfect. Now if you want, we can run it. Perfect, submitted. Now let's see all the test cases passed. Perfect. So now let's simply discuss our code. It's very simple. That's the way we discussed. So first we traverse our string vector, right? Then we got our string, and this str is our string. Then we had to break it into two parts. To calculate our number, that how many times we visited, our count, and our domain. So we use the help of the space, that is what space separated, and then we use a substring function. Then what we did? We needed the subdomains. So to calculate subdomains, we checked that our subdomains, it's separated by a dot. So with the help of dot, then again we got the subdomains, right? We got the subdomains, and then we checked that whether our subdomain is already present in the map or not. If it was already present, we simply updated its value to our current count, current count. If it was not present in our map, then we simply put it in our map and add our current count again, right? And then we added our domain, because here we calculate the subdomain, but we have to add our domain as well, right? And its count. Perfect. And then we did nothing. We simply extracted the elements from the unordered map and added into our res answer. That is our string. That is our vector string, and we simply returned it. So that's it for this video. If you liked it, do not forget to like, comment and share. Thanks for watching.